We got a question right here. A track for go-karts is being built in a park. The design criteria state that the track must be semicircle ends with straight track in between as shown. The track must allow the go-kart to travel safely at speed up to 35 km per hour, which is 9.72 meter per second. Mass of go-kart and driver is 185 kg. Diameter AB of semicircle end is 30 meters. For one design, the track is horizontal. As the go-kart goes around the semicircle end of the track, centripetal force is provided by friction between the tracks and the tires. This is shown in the free body force diagram below. Show that the criteria between the designed criteria maximum frictional force is equals to 1180 newtons. We can solve it in three ways, right? The first way we can prove it from the velocity, right? We have to prove that it is basically near to 9.72 meter per second, right? So I can write it as F is equals to mv square by r, because the go-kart, we can see from the go-kart track that it is going like this, like in the circular motion. So we're gonna use the centripetal force formula, right, which is mv square by r, right? See, just for the safe to mention it, see over there. So we have force as centripetal force as 1180, right? We have, and as we know from the diagram, just I want to mention that as we know from the diagram that basically friction is equal to centripetal force, as it is going, as centripetal force is also here, right? Centripetal force is also, and the friction is also here, right? So basically we know that they're both equal, right? That's why I choose the centripetal force and the friction force as 1180, right? We know the mass is basically 185 kg, right? We need to find the velocity, and we have the radius as 15, right? So we get our speed as velocity as 9.78 meter per second, right? So we can say yes, it is close enough to it, but it already says that show that this design meets the design criteria. We have to show it. We don't have to conclude anything, like we don't have to tell them basically like whether this velocity is close to 9.72 or not. It just told us to show that. So I'm not gonna write any statement over here. I'm gonna just show the calculations, right? This is the first method. The second method you can use is basically finding the force. Like you can say basically the force that we have calculated is around basically 1180, right? So we can say we need to find the centripetal force, and we have mass is 185, we have velocity given as 9.72, right? And we're going to put the square on it, and then we have radius which is 15, right? So we get FC basically as 1165.23 newtons, right? So we can say that yes, it is basically close enough to 1180. And then the third way basically we can do from the third way, which is basically we can find the radius of it, right? So I have 1100, and yeah, why I took 15, because diameter, I forgot to mention, diameter is 30, right? So to find radius we divide diameter by 2, right? So if you divide 30 by 2 you get 15 basically, right? So I forgot to mention that, but it is how we get the radius, right, which is 15 meters. So basically we have force which is 1180, right? We have mass as 185 kg, and then we have speed as 9.72 square by r, right? And r is basically once we have found that, right, so then we can find it in diameter as well, right? So my final r was basically 14.81, right, meters. And then my diameter will basically be the 2 times of the radius, because as we said, like radius is denominator diameter divided by 2. So to find diameter we will shift this 2 upwards, so it will be 2r. So 2 times 1.148.181 is 29.62 meters. You can solve it from either these three methods, your answer will be correct, right?